Yesterday I was watching this video on YouTube, and this is where I am right now. I'm at 23 minutes in, currently chopping some ginger, and one of the guys said, "This is Blaze Foray," and I was like, "Oh my God, Mom, is this the Foray's son?" So we actually have been, I've through my parents, we've been to their house, we've had dinner, lunch. Um, we have known the Foray's for a while, and I remember the day that his dad, so this is, I believe, on his show, Wake Up and Win podcast. This might be Blaze Foray's show, but I remember when his dad said, "Yeah, my son's going to start a podcast. His name is Blaze." And so that is so cool. I want to play a piece of this video that I think really needs to be understood by a lot of the church. But first, this is going to be very, very suppressed, and it deserves to get out there. I am a healing consultant, and this is one of the latest reviews in my store. So I want to go ahead and read this first because this is already becoming very, very suppressed. This is from Veronica. This is a sister of a friend of mine who got an ad-tailored plan and received so much help from me for some time, also after she became pregnant and was having an issue with a urinary tract, and where she was taking oregano oil during that, and it was keeping her infection going. And that was part of what I was able to go back to when I exposed these oregano oils and all these things, and this certain language, this new discovery, which this is what I do. I am the professional on exposing synthetics for the bio blank, for the mixing clay with iron agenda. And a big part of that was I was able to look back on my journey with this woman's sister. And so because of her experience, she got her sister Veronica on board. And now both her and her sister have ordered consultations for 3 more people, including their mother. So she says, "Where do I start? Was on hypothyroid meds for over 12 years. Was told that I had to take for the rest of my life. My younger sister recommended and had nothing but good things to say about Cassandra, her tinctures, teas. So after a year or so, I decided to consult Cassandra. Wonders, cleanse, and clarity came. I was dealing with numbness, brain fog, swelling of ankles, and achy bones, just to say a few. I've been off my meds plus iron supplements and multivitamins for about 55 days, all of which were synthetic. I left it all. I am just so happy that I did with Cassandra's help, knowledge, and guidance. I will continue to order, and may you keep blessing others with all that you do." One of the recent episodes in the Healing Warrior tier of my Patreon, which is a $10 tier, was expose iodine, expose Lugol's, you'll just have to see it, but expose iodine, show how to get actually natural iodine, but also went through her whole journey, basically a whole consultation in that episode, which I'm going to have to remove that part and just show just some of the testimonies of that journey, which is also in a folder here on the Original Nature TikTok as well as some of the beginning of her journey is in a complimentary collection of my Patreon as well. I think it's called Rebecca's Journey. But this review was left maybe, I don't know, 20, 30, I don't remember how many days ago. Oh, February 18th. So it is now the 20th of April. So it's been over 55 days that she's been off of all of this. And she was on levothyroxine for 12 years. Going back to the oregano oil, when I told my friend to go ahead and drop that, pick up a couple other things, immediately within 24 hours, everything was great. And she was pretty just surprised at that and very, very relieved. I was able to go back because I wasn't 100% on that oregano oil at the time. I was able to go back once I learned this extra language on products that show that these things are not natural the way anybody would look at the products and completely believe that they are just totally natural and don't go into a lab and are not Frankenstein. And the episodes, I tried to post on that. It was very censored. But the breakdown, the proof of this particular language on bottles, it's called Another Sober Situation, Part 1 and 2. And it is in the, Part 1 is in the $5 tier of my Patreon. Part 2 continues in the $10 tier. And we're just getting started on the episode. It's absolutely crazy. Some of the things included are when you see things such as like 20-to-1 extract, etc. What does that actually mean? Okay, so back to this.
Part of a group of leaders that are highly compromised. And I mean, does any was go to him with Matthew 18. And so they would do this and he would always find out who knows what, and then he would silence the victims or silence the people who knew. And you gain information to know how much somebody knows. And Michael Brown did this as well.
And this is about, you don't always go privately to people. And so they're giving an example here of what did happen in one circumstance with Mike Bickle.
How much they knew about the situations to give a reason why that wasn't legitimate, and then to send them on the goose chase for longer, and it kicks the confrontation way down the road. Yeah, I would say at this point we have overwhelming evidence that Jeremiah is not only compromised, but he's a part of a group of leaders that are highly compromised. And I mean, does anybody here on this panel here have any doubts that he would have got on the phone like Dr. Michael Brown did and tried to do some of the same things? I mean, at a certain point, we have to say, okay, we have to use wisdom, right? And wisdom tells us in a lot of these situations that, that there's a level of corruption here we're dealing with, which must be considered. But in this situation, and you can check me on this, Mike, the Bible thinker, you can check my Bible thinking on this. According to 1 Timothy 5, right, the accusations have been brought. They haven't been dealt with over and over again for many years. So therefore, this is completely in the realm of public exposure, dealing with it publicly. So, I mean, biblically speaking, that's what someone who's really taking into account what Scripture really teaches would have counseled Jake in. I would think it's clear Scripture, but these guys seem to be. Of course, they never bring up that Scripture, right? Of course, because that completely, goes against the case they're trying to make many times here. But wouldn't you say that's correct, Mike?
I think so. And I think that a great biblical case study for this is the Pharisees. Jesus hardcore rebukes the Pharisees in front of crowds of people. He talks about them when they're not even there. He talks about them when they are there. He rips on them hardcore. Yeah. And I would us to ask, did he go to them privately first? Did he go to the Pharisees and he was like, hey, I want you guys to know that there are some issues? Well, when you read the text, you're like, it doesn't look like he went to anybody privately. It looks like he just started ripping on these guys because public teaching gets public accountability. When Jeremiah goes out and he starts talking about the false prophets, or Ezekiel starts railing against leadership, or Isaiah starts writing public words against kings and all kinds of people in high up places, when do they go to them privately first? You get this just with maybe Nathaniel, Nathan, who's got this prophecy for David. And he's like, hey, I have this prophecy for you about, Bathsheba. But then immediately he still goes public, even though David is repentant. Even though David is actually repentant and receptive of the discipline of the Lord, it all goes public. It gets printed for literally billions of people to read. So, yep. I was saying in the case of leadership and public sins with leaders, where they sin, not just they have some private sin issue, and we could maybe have more questions to ask about that issue, but they've got they're sinning against the people they're leading. They're sinning directly. They're blaspheming the name of God, misleading people, harming people. All I'm saying is it's as though these leaders that we're seeing on this call, it's as though their people are invisible to them. And they don't see the harms that a fake prophet like Jeremiah will cause. And so then they...
And for me, it's just really interesting that I've seen a lot of, believers on TikTok say, why didn't you go to this person in private? Just in comment sections of different posts, and they're bringing up one verse, but while ignoring all these other examples that Mike Winger demonstrates here. So I really enjoyed this part of the video, and I'm only 26 minutes in. Yeah.